Today, I'm going to talk about one of the worst pricing assumptions people make, and I'll give you 3 strategies you can use right away to increase your pricing, including one that I used to quadruple the sales on my highest package. I'm Spencer Lum from Ground Glass, the wedding photography resource for breaking down barriers and finding real-world business solutions. When I started, I thought that if I could charge less than everyone with the same quality as I had, I'd get all the business I needed. And it kind of worked, but what it meant was that I was always terrified about raising my prices because I was sure that if I did that, I would lose all my clients, and I could never really charge what I was worth. I was making the assumption that buying decisions are all about price and this idea that there's a fixed value and fixed budget associated with the quality and the things that people want. And that's one of the worst assumptions you can possibly make. What you want is to focus people on value. And the real trick is to make people feel it. Because when people feel the value is there, budgets become flexible. People start focusing on what you can do for them instead of how much you cost. Now, I'm talking about pricing and presentation strategies here, but the key isn't that there are a bunch of little tricks to unleash buying. I'm just giving 3 examples today, but that's not what it's all about. The key is that in every part of your business, from marketing to sales to pricing, you want to focus on how people feel, not what they think. When you connect intuitively, you bypass objections and resistance, and what that does is it lets you stay focused on the relationship instead of spending all your time trying to justify what you're worth and sell to people. Now, I have a coin over here, and what I'm going to do is, so I have the coin, I take that coin, and it disappears. Now, of course, we all know what's really going on. The coin just stays in this hand over here. But it feels like the coin disappears, and there are 3 reasons for that. The first, of course, is just that I'm reaching over to grab it. When you see someone doing that, you assume that they're picking up the coin. But there are 2 other things that go on as well. The first is that when I reach over, I point with this finger over here. And that's a nice little bit of misdirection, because what that does is it focuses attention on this hand and encourages the idea that I've picked up the coin. The second thing I do is I make sure to look at this hand all along the way. And that way, it feels like it disappears because there's the same piece of misdirection there. And the point of all this is that it's all about how we process information. Communication is just like the coin trick. It's about the little cues and signals we send to tell people how to feel about the things they see so they can accept it. Because when people feel right, that's when they become willing to buy. So here's the first strategy. Set an anchor. There's an effect in psychology called anchoring that basically says that whatever people see first sets the tone for everything after. Here's how it works. Let's say I give you a number, $20,000. Then I say to you, how much do you think my photography is going to cost? Just by saying a large number first, people will give a higher answer than if I were to say something like $1,000. So you can influence people's expectations that easily. And this has been proven. George Lowenstein asked MIT students to look at their own social security numbers and answer whether they would pay that amount for various items. Then, later, he had them bid on those items, and it turned out that students with large social security numbers were consistently willing to pay more. So anchors actually change buying behaviors. And this is despite the fact that the students were looking at an arbitrary number and they even knew it. So there's 2 things we can learn from this. The first is that when you're giving out pricing information, start high, then work your way down. Because that first number you give out, whatever it is, that's going to be an anchor. And you don't want to have a low number and work your way up, because what happens is that low number is going to make everything else seem expensive in comparison. The second thing is that you don't want to shy away from an all-inclusive package that includes everything. Some people call it a Whopper package. And what it does is it creates a reference point for the rest of your packages. You want to have a large, high-priced package, substantially higher than everything else, that's going to set the tone for everything that people see afterwards. When I had 3 packages, just by adding a 4th, I was able to sell what used to be my highest package by 400% more. Now, the second strategy is to use good names. Dr. Brian Wassink found that descriptive names on menus increase sales by as much as 27%. Names like Southwestern Tex-Mex salad or buttery plump pasta. Those outsold plainer names like salad or pasta. And the same thing actually affects home buying costs, crazy enough. Houses on streets that use boulevard, place, and road will outsell equivalent homes on avenues, drives, or streets. So the lesson here is that instead of creating an abstract and detached price sheet with dry, plain names, add descriptions that connote quality and craft, and that are consistent with your brand values and the nature of your pictures. Finally, the third strategy is to focus on fair value. Here's what they found at Carnegie Mellon. They showed people good and bad values on various items, and then they took MRI scans to see how their brains were reacting. What they found was that the bad deals caused the brain's pain centers to light up, but good ones didn't. What's more interesting is that they found it's not about the absolute dollar value. It's all relative. It's not whether something is $100 or $1,000. It's whether that $100 or $1,000 represents a good deal. That means you want to look for ways to make your value apparent. The thing is, to us, our pricing, it always seems fair. We know how much we put into it. We know how much commitment there is, how much time there is, but our client, they have no idea what we do. In fact, in general, when people come into the industry, everything seems overpriced. So what happens is that people, they just hear a big number and they go, ouch. That's why you don't want to start out with pricing in the beginning of your meetings. If people aren't ready to hear them, they're going to react badly. You want to take the time to set people's expectations. Also, don't break your estimates down into a line item. By having and listing out a series of small little charges, it just calls attention to how much every little thing costs, and it makes it feel like you pay for every single thing. There's a reason there's the phrase nickeled and dimed. Bundles, on the other hand, are great because it becomes a lot less clear exactly what costs what, and you get all this stuff for a single price point, so it feels like a great deal. The last thing is not to forget about the atmosphere. If you let people know you have a premium product, they'll be ready for your pricing and it's going to seem more reasonable. It's one of those classic cases of dotting your I's and crossing your T's, sending those cues and signals that we talked about, and taking the time to make sure that you do all the little things so that people's expectations are properly managed. It's all about getting the right message across. Now, I have a question for you. What are your largest sales challenges? And did you learn anything new here? If you did, leave a comment and let me know what's up. I'd love to hear from you. And if you found any of this valuable, why not subscribe to my newsletter? Just go to www.ground-glass.com/newsletter and sign up to keep up with the latest. I'm Spencer Lum, and thanks for coming here.